Hello, my beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel, Living Life with Coach Anna. And today we're going to dive into reactions. What is a reaction? What is an emotional reaction? What makes us react the way that we react, right? Are we reacting with anger? Are we reacting with peace? Are we reacting with calmness? How are you reacting out there in the world, right? Because reactions can be very either draining or empowering, right? Because you can have a negative reaction, a limiting reaction full of limiting emotions like anger or frustration, right? You can react from that place, or you can react from a place of empowerment of I'm defending myself. I need to say these things because I need to stand up for myself because for some reason something's happening that I'm feeling I don't know, downgraded, is that what it be? Yeah. So guys, emotional reactions. For example, I used to yell a lot. I used to be on a very high, stressed out kind of vibration where I was constantly yelling, rushing, and little by little, I had to gain more and more consciousness of that. And I was like honestly, whoa. Why am I yelling, right? Why am I rushing? One time I was rushing so much that I started to yell at my sisters, like, because we're going to this dance class, right? With happy, fun dance class, and I'm seeing the time, and I know how long it takes us to get to the place, and I'm rushing her, and I'm getting mad because she's not ready yet, and like she knows the time we gotta go, and so I'm getting stressed out. I'm getting mad because I feel like we're gonna be late. And guess what happens, right? My sister said, "You know what? I don't want to go anymore. You go by yourself. If you're rushing this bad, then you can just go." And what I do, it made me feel bad. It's like, dang, I had to go by myself to a dance class, and yeah, it was just like it made me feel um like I exaggerated, right? I was coming from a place where these emotions were very over exaggerated because at the end of the day it was just a dance class. Nobody needs to rush to dance class, right? So from that moment on, I think that was the lesson I needed for me to realize like there's no need to rush at all. There's no need to be yelling and reacting the way I was acting just because I thought I was going to be late to the dance class. I didn't want to get in traffic. I knew how long it was going to take us to get there. And I was just, all over the place, all over the place. So when we're reacting in these manners, it means we're kind of all over the place. We're only thinking about ourselves. We're only thinking about like how this is impacting me and how I'm in my ego and I want to make sure I get to dance class on time, so I gotta rush other people and I gotta control other people, and you can't do that. We can't be doing that. I think the biggest factor of emotional reactions is when you're trying to control exterior factors from yourself, when you honestly lose control of yourself because you're unable to control the other factors that you wanted to control. So you lose control of yourself, you react in the bad way or the ugly way, or you react in the right now we're talking about the negative way. So yeah, we're reacting in the negative way or the ugly way, and and that's how it happens sometimes. And then what happens when you're reacting in the ugly way, right? You're upset, you're mad, like after I yell, guys. After I yell, I feel so ugly. I feel so depleted because yelling is like one of the lowest vibrations and energy and things you can do for yourself, because yelling is like you're mad and you're expressing that anger and you're yelling. Imagine and you're yelling at someone and they're getting you out of your wits and you're stressed out and you're yelling at them. Like, where are you going to find a reason or comprehension or understanding when you're yelling? Where? Tell me. Nowhere, right? Nowhere you're going to be able to find any understanding when you're yelling at other people, when you're trying to get your point across in a negative way, like yelling. It's never going to happen, right? No, either if somebody else, let's say it the way that you match energies, right? We're matching energies. So if you're over here very angry and yelling, and this other person is very calm and trying to talk to you peacefully and be nice and be happy, right? What do you think is going to happen between these two people? there's just gonna be a block, right? It's just gonna be a block because they're not listening, because they're on another vibration, another frequency, because they're yelling, they're stressed out, who knows, they're mad, and this person's just like, whoa, 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 you don't need to yell. I'm not understanding you. You know, they're getting offended. Like, why are you yelling at the end of the day? So boom, we have that block. So how is a person who's already yelling, who's already having an emotional reaction, going to ever communicate their point across? They're never going to get it across, right? They're only going to what? The only way to get their point across to someone is if that other person is yelling. And then now both people are yelling at each other, right? They're both on the same frequency. They're both on the mind and energy pattern where they're both yelling at each other. They're both mad. They're both angry, and they're all trying blah, 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 right? And so that's the only way an angry person can get their point across to another angry person, right? You have to either use the same level of voice or the same kind of type of energy, like, right? If you want to shut down the angry person, what you gotta do? You gotta yell at them to shut down. You can't talk to them in calm way and tell them, hey, you gotta calm down. No. You gotta kind of, hey, you have to calm down or else this is not gonna go anywhere, right? You have to kind of get up there with them, right? In that emotional reaction so they can like, oh, okay, so they can listen, because that's the only thing that's gonna go in their ears. The only thing that's gonna go in their ears is anything that is as loud as they are being. Let's get that in our heads too, right? Emotional reactions rely on how you're feeling, and if you want the same emotional reaction from another person, they have to match your level of voice, the mind pattern that you're in, and that's how you get fights between couples, right? Because they're both yelling at each other, right? And if you're both yelling at each other, you're both fighting about the same thing, you're in that same level, at least you're both communicating at the same level, versus one being super loud and mad and one being super calm and like trying to get the other one to calm down. It doesn't work that way. So that's why we have to be very careful of how we are reacting when we're feeling ugly. Because yes, it's all, if you need to react in an angry way because somebody offended you, because it was like the only reaction, like somebody, you've been telling that person, hey, you're hurting my feelings, hey, you're doing this to me, like, hey, you're hurting me, right? And it's just going through one ear and out the other. Of course you're going to get mad eventually, right? Of course you're going to lose your SHIT, at any given point, because if you're constantly telling them you're hurting me and yet they keep doing it, and you're just, if you're the type of person who's just going to let the person keep hurting you instead of actually reacting and saying, okay, enough, I've had enough, and you cut the cord, then you're always just going to be mistreated. You're never going to be able to, defend yourself. And you're only going to keep finding people who are going to keep doing this to you. So when you actually react to defend yourself, right? When you react to stand your ground, when you react to stand up for yourself, when you react to make sure people stop hurting you, that's a reaction that is much more positive than an angry reaction just because you're stressed out, you want to fight about something, and you just, you can't really find the words other than you being angry, which is crazy. But it happens, and it's all to it. We are human. All we can do is, retrace our steps, learn, calm down, breathe. The best thing we can do when we have these ugly emotional reactions is breathe. After it's happened, after you were done yelling, after you said what you needed to say, the best thing is to sit down and really analyze what made you get there. Well, trust me, when I used to yell, and I haven't yelled in years, months, and actually very, very soon ago, like probably a week ago, I yelled, and oh my gosh, I felt awful. It made me cry. I do not appreciate yelling anymore at all, because it unbalances me. It makes me feel like an ugly person. It makes me feel like I lost my SHIT, and I couldn't catch my breath, and I'm giving myself a hard time because of the yelling. But And then I compared, it's been more than a year since the last time I yelled in an angry way, right? Since I reacted in an ugly, yelly way. And at the end of the day, I feel proud of myself. I kept my cool for long enough. But yeah, it doesn't excuse the yelling, but I'm proud of myself for getting to now a consciousness where I can be like, yeah, I don't want to be yelling at anybody. I don't want to be getting stressed out to the point where I'm yelling at people in an angry way. Like, that's not at all what I'm here to do, right? That's not at all what I want to do. I want to keep my composure. I want to feel good inside, because yelling does not make me feel good inside. That's why I end up crying after I yell, because it does not make me feel good. It does not make me feel like my beautiful self, right? But sometimes it has to happen, because it has to happen. Sometimes you got to stand your ground. Sometimes you have to stand up for yourself. Sometimes you have to, make sure that you're not being taken advantage of. And if that has to go with the yelling, well, then sometimes you got to do a little yelling, right? Sometimes you got to do a little bit of emotional reaction, because there's one thing, standing your ground and standing up for yourself. And there's just another thing of just bad reactions, wanting to make people feel bad, yelling at them, being angry at them, and it's completely different, okay? So, what I like to do when I have these type of emotional reactions is definitely retrace my steps. Definitely retrace my steps. Like, what made me get there? What happened before? Like, what made me get all the way up there without me really realizing, like, I didn't have to get all the way up there, right? So I'm retracing my steps. Like, oh, well, this got me mad, this got me upset, I didn't talk about it, I didn't say this about it, I didn't speak out or vent out the ugly emotions that were going to lead me up there, that were going to lead me to have this type of negative emotional reaction towards someone or something. Right? So I retrace my steps. You gotta retrace your steps. Say, okay, this pissed me off. This got me upset. I didn't say anything. And remember, if the emotions that we do not clear from our system, they become a buildup. And that buildup just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until it finally either explodes out of you, or it explodes out of you. Because when you are holding on to strong emotions, especially strong, ugly emotions like anger, the buildup and when it comes out to explode can be very ugly and can be very damaging to your own like energy and aura, right? Because nobody's supposed to have this buildup of ugly emotions. Nobody. And if you're having that buildup, it's definitely because you're not venting or letting go of the ugly emotions, of the situations that made you upset, of the things that got you pissed off. And so, yeah, retrace your steps. Retrace your steps to understand what made you form that ball that, finally exploded out of you in an ugly emotional reaction. Then, how to allow others just to be themselves without you taking it personal and reacting towards them is another thing. Yeah, guys. So this goes into the theory of you have to let people be, or you have to let people show you how they are, and then you choose if you want to continue being associated with that person, or if you want to, cut the cord and go find somebody else. Because at the end of the day, if people are showing you their true colors, right? Like, for example, I used to have an ex who will always want me to go do things with him, right? To show up, to go visit him, to go out with him and his friends, right? But the minute I asked him to come and show up for me, right? To come hang out with me and my friend, to come hang out with me this weekend, or to come drive to me or something like that, it was like, nope, I don't have the time, I don't feel like the drive, or this, right? So from that moment on, I was like, okay, I'm seeing this, right? I'm seeing how you want me to invest more time with you, but I'm not seeing how when I'm asking you to invest time with me, it's not happening, right? So slowly, that got under my skin, and slowly, I just let him be. And then once it needed to happen, we broke up, right? And trust me, guys, that was one of the reasons why we broke up. Because you can't tell me to come spend time with you and your friends, and I say yes, let's go. It's for you. I want to be with you. I want to. At the end of the day, I'm spending time with my partner. But then when I turn around and ask you to spend time with me, and you don't do it, or say you don't have the time, or say that you don't feel like the drive, that right there is grounds and basis for you to definitely react in a peaceful way and say, okay, I see how you're treating me, and I don't want to keep being treated this way. So cut the cord, right? Or you can stick with that type of treatment, right? You stay there with that type of person, and eventually, guys, what happens? We get to the ugly emotional reaction. We start yelling at them. We start telling them, you're not there for me. We start to fight, and then break loose, right? But instead of getting to the fights, right? Instead of wasting the time of yourself of, keep telling them and they don't do anything about it, right? Because they're not going to do anything about it. If that's the way that they've dealt with things in the past, and they don't want to change for you, then don't make them change. Nobody's going to change, right? All you got to do is find yourself someone better, right? Somebody that will put in the time for you. Somebody that will, like, yeah, I'm down to go spend time with you and your friends, right? And not just say, oh no, it's only me and my friends. Me, whatever. So yeah, guys, watch out for those emotional reactions. Make sure that if you are emotionally reacting, if it's at least on a positive basis, that you are standing your ground, standing up for yourself, or standing up for somebody else. Yeah, you get me? And if you are ugly, emotionally reacting out there with anger, with fear, with all the bad things that can happen if you're emotionally reacting in an ugly way, give me a call. Let's work on it, because I got homework for you. Okay, guys? Well, I hope you like this little podcast, and I'll see you next week, guys. Subscribe, like, comment, and follow me on TikTok and Instagram. Okay? See y'all.